So I am Carol Adair. I'm an assistant professor at Rubenstein, and today I'm going to talk to you about some of our work on finding winning solutions for climate change and farmers. So farmers are grappling with the effects of climate change every year, whether it's dealing with a drought like this one or the one we had last year here in Vermont, or with floods. This is a photo from 2011 and some farmland in Waitsfield. So farmers are already responding to all of these climate changes. They have to in order to remain profitable. But what we want to know is, are there any of these responses that help farmers mitigate the impacts of climate change, but also mitigate the effects of a changing climate? So management practices have a lot of potential to impact farms and farmers by changing yields, the retention of soils and nutrients, but they also have a lot of potential to impact climate change and mitigate climate change by increasing carbon storage in soils or reducing greenhouse gas emissions. And two of the practices that we've been really focusing on in the last few years have been tillage practices and manure management practices. So for tillage, I'm just going to talk about conventional tillage versus no tillage or no-till systems. And manure management practices, I'm going to focus on broadcast or conventional methods, which just sort of spreads manure out over the surface of agricultural land, versus injection, which creates sort of a slit in the ground, and then manure is sort of injected into that slit, so it's all below ground there. Okay, so for tillage, the group of folks I've been working with, we found that it can produce yields as high or higher than conventional tillage, and it also reduces greenhouse gas emissions, which is what this figure is showing you here, with vertical tillage or more conventional tillage, shown here in red, producing more carbon dioxide emissions than no-till, which is shown here in blue. This is over last year's growing season. So we also found that it has the potential to increase soil moisture when the soils are really dry, and that's what this is showing you from last year when it was really dry. No-till had higher soil moisture, here shown again in blue, than the conventional tillage in red. So no-till seems to be sort of a winning solution, helping farmers and society, but the same doesn't really seem to be true for injection, manure injection. We do have some improvement in yields and silage quality, which is good for farmers, but it also seems to increase greenhouse gas emissions. So it increases carbon dioxide and nitrous oxide. This is showing you nitrous oxide, and here manure injection is in blue, and you can see these big pulses of nitrous oxide coming off the fields when right after there's been a manure treatment, which is what these vertical dashed lines are showing you. So clearly there are a lot of issues at stake and reasons that people choose different management practices. Things like water quality. With injection, maybe you're keeping those nutrients out of surface waters. So we have to figure out how to balance out all of those decisions for farmers and society, which may have local answers, different ones depending on where you are. Okay, but there are a lot of management practices out there. So what we'd like to do is work with farmers and researchers to identify the ones that have the potential to mitigate the effects of climate change for farmers, that is, allowing them to produce and be profitable, but also mitigate climate change for the rest of us, allowing us to eat good food and stay cool. We'd also like to work with folks to try to quantify the benefits or costs and also the services that these management practices provide. And if you have any questions, I'm happy to talk with anyone about those at my table.